of the things that really damages a person in their work sort of environment is probably lack of sleep. It's one of those things that that end up suffering first and probably the most when there's stress or difficult times. Even if it's not difficult times, even if you're just analysing and processing things too much, it starts that process where you're tossing and turning, you're waking up early, maybe having difficulty going to sleep in the first place. The sleep deprivation, it's one of those things that once it starts, of course, you're in this cycle where all of a sudden you're not getting sleep or not getting enough sleep, which is putting you in this situation where you're in a bad mood for the rest of the day, which then starts something or triggers something which ultimately then causes you to sleep poorly the next night as well, and so on and so on. You end up in this cycle of sleep deprivation, and of course one of the main things that comes from sleep deprivation is just this anger or just being easily triggered by things, I think. And put that into a work environment, you start either running the risk of upsetting the people around you. Of course, everybody around you ends up upsetting you, because your lack of sleep's causing you to be moody or edgy, and it ultimately ends up affecting the work that you're doing. I'd like to be able to talk from experience and sort of say, okay, the answer to that is to do X, Y, and Z. I think if I knew the answer to that and a quick, easy way of solving that, I'd probably be a very rich man. Ultimately, I think, where possible, step back from it. Take that holiday. This is definitely a problem I'm finding myself is, you get so tied up in work, you get into this situation where you're tired, and you're not just being as aggressive with your work as you could be. And really, I think if I just stood back, took a holiday for a week or something, got that out of my system, caught up on some sleep, then when I came back to work, I'd be much fresher and much better, much more active and progressive in my work. So I think that might be something that I'll look at doing, actually, taking a bit of a holiday. Lack of sleep for me it's not really caused by anything. Being the owner of a company, there's always things that go through your mind. There's always, especially when you're responsible for sales acquisition as well, I think you tend to feel that an awful lot of the progress of the company is riding on you, and I suppose it probably is to some degree. Because of that, you start constantly analysing things. You're thinking about, where's the next lead going to come from? Who am I going to speak to about this? Or I need to get that quote done. I need to get this invoice out. I need to speak to accounts about X, Y, and Z. I need to speak to project management about X, Y, and Z. All of a sudden you find out you're just constantly thinking about things. Add to that the added bonus, I suppose, of being the director, then you start having financial concerns, queries, calculations constantly going through your head. You just find yourself in this situation where sleep starts avoiding you. You're tossing around in bed, and then when it finally does come, the alarm seems to go off immediately, and you're back up and you're back doing it again. So I think probably the best and maybe the only way of really doing it, short of exercising and eating maybe a little bit better, keep that heart rate and metabolism going, wearing yourself out more, tends to stop the mind from thinking. I suppose that would definitely help sleep better. I think maybe just take a holiday, get out, go see more of the world. It's definitely something that I would like to do. The trick then, of course, is to make sure you can go on a holiday and then stop. put your laptop down, maybe not answer that email, delegate, forward emails and those sorts of queries when you are on holidays off to other people. It'd be nice to be able to completely switch off. I know a lot of staff would just not answer emails or not check mobile messages or whatever. Obviously you're probably not in that situation. You're going to need to do some work to some degree, but I think if you can let your clients know in advance that you're heading away, you're planning a trip, set up a forwarder on your email, let people know that you've received their email but you're on holidays, and you'll get back to them as quickly as possible. That sort of thing would definitely help. Right, so that being said, I suppose I better go and have a look and see what holidays I can book. It would be nice to get away from it all, go and take some photos of somewhere new, eat somewhere new. That's always the real reason we go on holidays, go and eat something different. Anyway, that's it. Of course, when all else fails, there's